Stream is up. Good evening, everybody. It's wow, it's the finale of Tier 2 Season 6, and boy, what a season what a race we're in for already. I've still got a few things to get sorted out, but we should be getting underway any second. If you want to skip ahead to qualifying, though, please do feel free to do so if you are watching after the fact, as we're just getting everything sorted out and ready to go. Let's see, let's get all of my bits and bobs ready.
We are getting going.
So unprepared. I do this all the time. I always cut it fine. The streams. I don't know why I do it. I just, I'm quite proud of this thumbnail. I think it's quite a good one. But I mean, they're all relatively similar, but I try and get some action in there if I can do on the thing. Rambling on, let's put this up and ready. Let's get this in the Discord.
It's wet. It's a wet quali, Sumo.
Oh, Ghost. Oh my word. Right. We'll comment on that in just a second. I'm going to get this up, and I'm going to say good evening, everyone, and welcome back to APPF1 Tier 2 for tonight's dose of racing action. I'm Sumo, your commentator this evening, and I'm joined, as always, by my amazing co-commentator, Ghost. How are you doing, mate?
Hello, mate. I'm very well. It's a slow day at work, but there's nothing like a Tier 2 finale to spice up the day. And especially with a wet qualifying, this is going to be spicy.
Yes, and I'll try not to choke on my tea before the race starts. But yes, it is the finale, the final round is what I wanted to say, of the Tier 2 Championship, and we find ourselves at the Autodromo Jose Carlos Pace, better known as Interlagos. Brazil will always be the spiritual home for season finales, even if it isn't the final of the real Formula One Championship. There are 15 corners here at Brazil, and 2.677 kilometers see us on a lap around of this circuit, and what a lap it is around here. You come down into turn 1 through the Senna S's and into Curva do Sol that leads us into the Reta Reposta, and then through turns 4 and 5 into the twisty sector 2, and then Junsao sees us start the final sector as the drivers go flat out all the way to the line. This circuit has quite the history to it, Ghost, and talk us through it. What is this circuit so special for?
Well, I mean, all sorts, some absolutely incredible championship finales. Of course, the most recent notable one being something to do with Timo Glock. I couldn't tell you a lot about that.
Mike Brundle could, though.
He certainly could. But yes, and it's also seen some incredible championship finales in APPF1 as well. But this track is a very special track in Formula One, and one that's close to many people's hearts for the drama and the. I mean, it's just an incredible track to begin with. To be honest, there's everything about it is brilliant, and I am so looking forward to this. And I have reports that it is that it could be a wet race. So we will see.
Henry's already out. I think he's crashed in the pit lane.
Yeah, I think that's exactly what he did. He's just said, "Oh my God," in the chat. So I think that's exactly what's happened, Sumo.
Oh my word! Already claiming a victim then. Are the wet conditions here at Interlagos? But what a circuit! What a spectacle we have. And to speak of spectacle, I'll get on to what we all want to hear about then. It's the championship, and we're going to go to the Drivers' Championship first. Darth Nihilus, after an amazing season, starting as a reserve, coming in as a full-time Tier 2 driver. He's on 142 points. Just 10 points behind him is Lawrence in the Mercedes, who's currently out on track. He's a little bit further back. We're watching LB at the moment make his way through Sector 2. But then Mr. J-Man, he is, or let's think, he's a further, I think he's 18 points behind, if I do the maths quickly, with Femi Thrustmaster 2 points behind the Red Bull. So that's your top 4, and they're all within a decent shout of winning the championship today. I think Krauser's mathematically out of it, it seems. I don't think he can score any more. So it's going to be the McLaren, the Mercedes, the Red Bull, and the Alfa Romeo all fighting for the top spot of the Drivers' Championship this evening. And we go over to the team standings now, the Constructors' Championship. And Ferrari, through thick and thin, they have been clawing back the points, and they find themselves on 210 points. Only 14 points behind the Red Bull team, and it's possible both sets of drivers are here today. So if the Ferraris manage to outscore the Red Bulls, or Red Bull crashes, or both Red Bulls manage to not score points today, Ferrari could be crowned your champions for the second season running. It would be a different pairing, of course, but the same team will have won it 2 seasons in a row. But we've had an absolute barnstorming championship, Ghost. And are there any insights into tonight's action?
Well, as LB has a big moment in Sector 2. I mean, the championship, it sounds close. It does sound close, but if you were here for Baku last week in the chat, you'll know that it could have been a lot closer. We had what is colloquially referred to as the incident, trademarked in all caps, where Lawrence on, I think it was the final lap, or the penultimate lap, managed to miss his braking point for turn 3 and spearheaded one of his rivals, Mr. J-Man, and basically handed this 10-point lead to Darth Nihilus on a plate. If it weren't for that, the lead could have been 1 or 2 points between all 3 of them. But as it stands, because of that, it's 18 points between the 3 of them, and Darth has a 10-point lead. But we've got 14 drivers in today as Lawrence sets the initial pace, it seems, of 17-0. And we've got a wet qualifying, and I'm hearing a full wet race as well, as JB goes 8/10 faster. So the track, I don't know if the track's going to get better as the session goes on, or if it's going to be rain all the way, but we're about to find out.
Yeah, this could be very reminiscent of the real Formula 1 2022 Brazilian Grand Prix, where if you're not out early enough in the session, you're not going to get the best out of the track. Here comes Darth Nihilus. It's a 16-7, so he's a fair way behind JBS Steve at the moment. Under these conditions, newbie Robsu, this is his second race. He did so well to finish on the podium last week, and he finds himself in P2 at the moment. It's a 16-5 from the Aston Martin right now. So the 2 Mercedes, the times are toppling at the moment, but JBS Steve, an impressive lap in these wet conditions. So keep an eye on Tyr. He's out on circuit now as well. He loves the wet race, does Tyr, but you know, if he can avoid a spin or 2, then he'll be doing well. Hello, Life out in the chat. It's nice to have you in.
I do have intel on what happened to Henry, by the way, Sumo. He forgot to turn his wheel on.
And that'll do it.
Yeah, that will do
like that's
it.
quite important,
yeah.
in all honesty.
Yeah, it's fairly important. Mr. J-Man goes P4. Muhiti looks to be on a decent lap, but I think it's not going to be anywhere near JB. No, it's a long way off. In fact, a 17.6 from Muhiti, who looks, I mean, extremely good in time trial, but obviously time trial is not qualifying, especially when it's wet. And we're going to see the real mettle of our drivers today in these wet conditions. Tito Man going wide at turn 4, and Lil Manny Man coming through as well. It's a huge test for Lil Manny Man. He's got to finish this race, as well as Mr. J-Man, both of them, because otherwise Ferrari could pounce and steal the Constructors' Championship from right under their noses.
Yeah, Red Bull looked dominant all season long, and the question was always asked, who can beat Red Bull? I mean, it's a bit like this. It's a bit like this season and the season before that. But you know, Ferrari have somehow clawed everything back, with Red Bull having DNFs and moments, and Ferrari having, you know, they had a 3 or 4 week streak of podiums for the Scuderia. So that was a great haul of points for the pair of them, and they've done really well to claw back some points in this championship. And they'll definitely be in the hunt for it tonight if the Red Bulls haven't got their wits about them. It's always hard to tell when there's laps being set in a wet session, but trying to keep an eye on which drivers are about to cross the line. That's from Hitty, he's just crossed the line, no improvement there for the Alpine. Here comes Krause, is he on a better lap than his previous? No, not quite, it's a bit slower for the Ferrari. Darth Hillis is 3/10 up, he's going to cross the line soon. This could see him jump ahead of Robsu and maybe ahead of LB as well. He's put himself on the front row at the moment. But no one yet to challenge JB. Darth Hillis puts himself in P3 with 16.4.
Yeah, good lap from the championship leader. All he's got to do is finish this race 6th or higher, and he will guarantee the championship for himself. So it's all on the line. Femi Thrustmaster goes P6. Lawrence on a lap as well. He's improving, but not by that much. The wet weather's especially hard when you've got no racing line and you're not used to it, and that's exactly what Lawrence has in Tier 2. So he is coming up to the line though, down towards the checkered flag, trying to get a slipstream off that car in front, and does, and gets up to P4. That's a great lap ahead of his championship rival.
Yeah, only by a couple hundredths of a second though. Mr. J-Man, slight improvement for the Red Bull. Not enough to see him upper place. Muhiti, he's crossing the line. It's not an improvement. I think he's just on another lap. There's a Ferrari coming across now. Krauser's on a 4/10 improvement. This might see him improve his time. Yes, it will. He's going to be in a 17.3. He's still not any higher than P10 though for the man in the Ferrari at the moment. I think everybody got Fido, man, to set a lap at the moment. I think Fido is in the pits at the moment, actually. So he is going to be trying to come out again. Cheryl Shaft as well, he's snuck himself into the top 6. He's peeling into the pit lane now, but not a bad lap from the Haas driver. And Hiller's coming across the line again. I think he's on a cool-down lap. I mean, what is the strategy here, Ghost, in a wet qualifying session? You're a driver, it's wet in qualifying. How do you go about it? Because it's not the same as a dry qualifying session.
It certainly isn't. Keep an eye on Lawrence though, Sumo. He was 2.7 tenths up in Sector 2, and he might take pole here with a good finish. It was a decent final corner as he comes down to the line. Is it going to be pole? Yes, by 0.02 of a second. Oh, this is going to be a good session. But yes, to your question, you've just got to feel it out. You've got to get some laps in on the inters. Get comfortable with the car and with the track in the conditions, and just make sure you're feeling confident going into the race, because if you have a bad quali in the wet and it's also a wet race, then it's just going to be a nightmare to get yourself confident with the car and back in the groove of things. So the important thing is to be comfortable, and then you can sort of think about setting your best lap towards the end of the session.
Here comes Darth Hillis, he's on a 2/10 improvement. This could be possibly pole for him. No, not quite. It's a 16.2. It's getting closer though, and this is going to be an incredibly close session. Look at that. There's half a second splitting the top 6 drivers, the top 9 drivers, all in about a second of each other.
Up. JB is 6/10 up, Sumo. You heard that right. He is going to smash this pole position time from Lawrence. I think the track may be improving, or maybe this is just an absolutely mega lap from the Ferrari driver. He comes to the line. LB goes a 15.7 and JB can't beat it. He must have lost a huge amount of time at the final actual corner, and LB poled by 11 thousandths right now.
Wow, the laps are really coming in, and they're getting closer and closer as we go through this session. Let's see who else is out at the moment. Shell Shaft, he's on an out lap at the minute. I think Darth Hillis, he's on a cool down lap for the time being. Robsu's found his way back out on track. He's on some new inters.
The track is improving, Sumo. I'm hearing intel from my chat. The track is improving, it's getting dry, and it may well be slicks by the end of the session. So all of these interlaps might just be for practice for the wet race, as Darth Hillis comes into the pits. I don't know if he's going to have a go on slicks. We'll see when those first slick tyres come out, but I imagine it won't be too long, Sumo. We've already got a couple of people selecting them in the pits, as Robsu improves to 5th place, but the track improving, so you can't really say that improvements at the moment are down to driver skill as much as they are the track getting drier.
Yeah, certainly so, and there's a few drivers waiting for them, but you can still see the drops of rain around the circuit at the moment, so it's not quite slick time at the moment. This could be a scramble in the last few minutes to get some times in on the slicks, but Muhitti's on a bit of a lap here. He's coming down across the line. This could see him up toward the top, perhaps. It's P5 for the man in the Alpine, a 16.2. The man who crashed quite dramatically from the lead of the race with only a few laps to go last week. Can he have one final hurrah in a season where Alpine have been looking absolutely terrible?
Oh, I do hope so. He deserves it after last week. Cheryl Sharp coming to the line. He was 7 tenths up as well in Sector 2. Could this be pole? It is a 15.5. And clearly the track is getting better and better. It's like you say, Sumo, it's going to be a shootout in the last minute of qualifying to see who can get the last lap.
And here comes Robsu. He's 7 tenths up as he goes. Oh, it's only P2. It's a 15.6. The lap times are tumbling down. Femi first months and out. A 15.8 for Femi in the Alfa Romeo at the moment. And out of our championship contenders, Femi is currently the lead car for those who are fighting for that drivers' championship.
Yeah, I'm just checking the standings. So yeah, Femi is in it, but only if he gets very, very lucky with a DNF from Darth Nihilus and possibly from Lawrence as well. But you know, it's not over until it's over, until the checkered flag falls. As Mr. J-Man coming up to the line, but he's nowhere near pole time. He's really struggling in these conditions, it seems, in that Red Bull. And that's not what he wants if he wants to secure, well, at least his third place in the championship.
Yeah, he'll definitely have to try and find something else. Let's have a look. I think it stopped raining.
Yeah, I think it has.
Yeah, the rain has stopped, but the track's going to be wet for a little while longer then. Who dares risk it out on the sauce? This is very reminiscent of Canada last season in the real F1 championship, where the rain stopped, but the track was still too wet for qualifying on the slick tyres. But anyone who dares try it may find themselves sneaking toward the top. Robsu's into the pit lane, maybe for some soft tyres for the Aston Martin. There are 3 minutes left of qualifying. The Mercedes of Lawrence is making his way down to the line. This looks like a quick lap from the Mercedes. Yes. It's a 15.3. It puts him on provisional pole. It does the Mercedes at the moment. There's a Red Bull coming across the line now as well. I think that's Little Manny Man. No improvement for the sister Red Bull at the moment. And J-Man still out on circuit, struggling as he's invalidated his current lap.
Yeah, it's all going to be who gets across the line last, Sumo. That's what it's going to be about, of the top runners. And who can get onto the slicks as well. Is anyone going to risk it? Darth Nihilus, a big moment out of turn 4. He was 2 tenths up in sector 1, but that's going to cost him quite a lot of time as he goes on the run up the hill. I think he might have even aborted the lap as he comes through turn I think that's turn 6 and down towards 7. But yeah, he's it's all going to be about the last car across the line. It doesn't look like anyone's risking the slicks, but I do wonder, 2 minutes left, someone could come out the pits on slicks.
Yeah, does Femi come out on the slicks? That's the question. Is he coming out of the pits now? He is. He's on the inters. Nobody taking that risk then for the slick compound tyre. Although Robsu, he's still in the pits as well. Is he going to risk it? I think he's just come out in the Aston Martin. Let's see what he does. No, inters all across the board then. Yep. So everybody opting for the wet weather tyre. So it's going to be last across the line, as Ghost says. And let's see, let's find our lead driver on a lap at the moment. I think that's going to be Darth Nihilus at the moment. So we'll watch the McLaren, our championship leader, the man who has got one hand on the trophy already, but he's got all of it to do. He's got to qualify well and he's got to do well in the race to come. But we're going to watch him now as he comes through turns 4 and 5 just now, up towards this fast right-hander.
Yeah, I think that Muhitti is going to be the last across the line if he goes for another lap after this one. He just passed the line at about the 1 minute 16 mark. So as long as he doesn't screw up this current lap, he might just about make it to be the last over the line. But it will be very close as JB just set a purple sector 1. And he's following Lawrence through sector 2 at the moment. There could be a collision here because JB is not that far behind the Mercedes. And they've both got to be careful here. Because they don't want to get in each other's way, especially Lawrence. as JB is continuing his lap. Lawrence as well. Is he up on his time through sector 2? No, he's not. So he's going to go one more time. This will be his final attempt.
So to cut you off, Ghost Hillis was looking really quick. Oh, and it's a 15-3. It's not quite going to do it for the McLaren. He might have time to set one more lap. It's getting insanely close now. Lawrence in the pits. That's his qualifying over.
Here's JB.
The next is JB. And it's a 14.9 for the Ferrari. That puts him on pole position provisionally for the time being. LB goes on to the front row at the moment as well. But Duff Hillis, he's out because he's slowing down.
He's aborted his lap. He will not go faster as here comes Tier. So Lawrence will start ahead of his championship rival. So that's good news for him at least. Tier's on a lap as well, but he's out of ERS, so I don't know if he's going to be able to improve. What about Robsu in the Aston Martin? Femi, Muhiti, J-Man. Muhiti's finished. He didn't quite get it. He didn't quite get over the line in time. So close for Muhiti, but Femi Thrustmaster coming to the line now. Can he improve on that time? Up to the line, it's looking really good. It's a 15.4 up to 5th place for the Cameroonian. Robsu across the line, he's 4 tenths up through sector 2, but surely that's not going to be enough to challenge JB. It could be enough for the front row though. Down to the line of 15.1, it is front row for Robsu in the Aston Martin.
Crowds are coming across, no improvement from the other Ferrari. Darth Hillis, his lap's going to be null and void. I think this could be qualifying over Tier. He's not on an incredibly quick lap either. How about LB? No, he's 2 tenths down. That's going to be his qualifying over as well. Mr. J-Man, he's 8 tenths up on his previous, so this isn't over yet. The Red Bull of Mr. J-Man is coming down towards the line now. This is looking fairly good. Placing toward the top, it's only P6.
I'll tell you what lost him that lap, Sumo. He had no ERS left. So he had nothing all the way down the main straight, and that would have cost him about half a second, so he could have been in contention. But look at this, 4th, 5th and 6th are our 3 main championship rivals.
They're all going to be starting next to each other on the grid, and Lawrence will be happy his teammates up there with him. But what a qualifying session that is. If that isn't a pretense to what sort of race we're in for here in Tier 2, then I don't know what else is. There are 5 people watching the stream thus far. Make sure you drop a like and give us some support over here, because we are in for quite a barnstormer after this qualifying session. And if the rain is to come, then this is going to be quite the race indeed.
Certainly is. So JB and Robsu make up the front row. Just 2 tenths between them, and an LB a couple of tenths behind the Finnish driver as well, with Lawrence P4. Row 3 is the championship leader Darth and one of his rivals, Mr. J-Man. Femi Thrustmaster as well, he's not far behind in P7. Cheryl Shaft, P8. Good showing for him. Tier down in P9, but I'm sure he'll be better on race pace. Tito Man quite a way behind, a big gap, 7 tenths to Tito Man and Muhiti. And then Crozer in P12, Little Manny Man in P13, but he will have that 5-place grid penalty for a collision with Tier earlier on, and so he will start 14th, and Henry will start 13th after he forgot to turn his wheel on.
Well, hopefully he would have turned on his wheel right about now. Otherwise, he will be in some serious trouble going down into towards turn 1. But yes, what a race we're going to have. Gosh, I'm excited.
Oh boy, it looks like full wet conditions, Sumo. That is some heavy rain.
Yeah, much heavier. What a way to end it. We started this season with what, 2 or 3 wet races. We're going to end it with a wet race, just to boot it off as well. And it couldn't be a better track for it. This could be quite the race indeed. All of the garage attendees, I don't know why I called them that, all the mechanics even, once again out T-posing out in the rain. It's a strange glitch, but it's kind of creepy really.
Yeah.
When you think about it. They're sort of all standing there, they're all sort of inside each other as well. They're like that 3-headed knight in Monty Python. And The Quest for the Holy Grail. That's a great film, by the way, if you've not seen it. But we'll get back to motorsport. We've got 5 seconds left on the clock before we go on the formation lap. And Ghost, you know, I've been at Tier 2 since, I want to say it was July of 2021. you know, almost 2 years coming up to the summer, and you know, I've been here for almost every race. I've missed a few, but we've always had absolute drama here. You joined me, of course, in season 2, and we've been an inseparable pair ever since. And you know, I think we've had some of the best championship battles in APPF1. Wouldn't you agree?
I'd agree, for sure. There was some amazing sprint championships as well, and a couple of Tier 1 seasons.
I was involved in one of those.
Yeah, you were. A couple of Tier 1 seasons that went down to the wire, but I think Tier 2 so consistently produces these incredible battles as Robsu goes for a spin on the formation lap. That shows you just how treacherous these conditions are, and I think this is going to be a survival battle here, as Lawrence and Darth Nihilus both disqualified. They must have made contact, and the rivalry is certainly no love lost between the two of them in their fight for the title.
Oh dear, the interviews will be interesting later if it comes to it, but we're almost done with the formation. Not much really to talk about with strategy. It's a wet tyres across the board, and I think it's going to be like this. Maybe it will dry up a little bit going on through the race. We've got 36 laps here in this race, and yeah, it's going to be quite the challenge. I'll throw you under the bus a little bit, Ghost. Who is going to be coming out on top at the end of this race? Who will be crowning champion once the flag is waved?
Oh, you can't bet against Darth. He's got a 10-point lead. All he needs to do is finish this race decently. He doesn't need to battle for the win or anything. So you can't really bet against him, but it's full wet, Sumo. Anything can happen. It really can. And seeing no love lost on the formation lap, you know, I'm still going to go Darth, but it's going to be quite the race.
The rain beating down then on JBS Steve in the Ferrari. We've got lights coming on, already glitches in the session. At the moment we're waiting for the cars to have motion here in this final race of the Tier 2 season.
They're off.
And we're underway at the moment. It's a drive through from Mahiti at the moment, but a great start from L. Lawrence in the Mercedes at the moment. He's already challenging. Robsu's in the lead already. JBS Steve, what has happened to the Ferrari? An awful start. There's contact behind with the Williams and the Ferrari. It's Robsu leading the two Mercedes, then Darth Nihilus, then Mr. J-Man and JBS Steve as we go down onto this first straight.
What an absolutely horrific start for JB. He just didn't get any traction down at all at the start. Lawrence with an almighty start up to second place already. We've got people swapping places further back, but Muhiti's gotten himself a drive-through for jumping the start. That is not the start he would have wanted to this Grand Prix. As we come through, Robsu and Lawrence very close together. The two Mercedes going to work together here to keep Darth behind, and we might see some backing into rivals at some point in this race. I wouldn't bet against it at all, as Lawrence puts all the pressure on Robsu at the front.
There's a move from Henry even in the Alfa Romeo. I think he's just got ahead of Cheryl Schaff. They're going side by side on the run down to Jim Sal now. Oh, it's very close between them, but no contact made. The Haas fends the position for now. Henry has to settle just behind, but he's looking for the inside as they go down towards the final couple of corners now, but there's still no way through. They're still very close though. This is the action down for P9 at the moment, and it could be down in towards the braking. So who is going to be the latest of the late breakers down here? To the outside goes the Alfa Romeo. No way through for the time being.
Very, very close, but fantastic racing to go side by side through that corner. Amazing stuff, and Henry's going to come back again here on the run to turn 4. Kia is out! Kia has spun, he's out the race. Could that be a safety car? It's a virtual. There's no safety car on the screen, and Muhiti is going to be devastated that that's only a virtual, because he's just come out the pits for his drive-through.
Yeah, he certainly has. I mean, I don't see how that's a virtual, to be honest. I think that's... It's right on the exit of the pits, right, as you release onto that straight. And you're already building up quite some speed as well. Here's the strategy then. It's a 1-stop or a 2-stop if you're brave enough to stop twice. But it's going to be wet all the way. It's going to be an absolutely waterlogged session at the moment, but we're neutralising this race for the time being. I think the green flags will be waved at any moment. Robson will want to try and have the momentum when the green flags are raised in order to get a better start and try and break away from Lawrence. Daphne Hillis will want to try and get the jump on LB if he can. He's got to clear that Mercedes. I mean, if he finishes, I think he'll be in good stead to win the championship anyway. But he'll be wanting to be on the podium, and we're back under racing RE. Oh, not quite. It's still yellow at the moment on my screen, at least for the time being. Or it looks like we're back under racing, doesn't it?
Not quite.
Not quite.
As well, Lawrence has gone for it down the inside. Now we're under green flags. He's timed it to perfection. He's gone for the move round the outside of turn 2. What a move from Lawrence into first place. He takes the lead. Mr. J-Man has spun further back. Disaster for the Red Bull driver. It's glorious for Ferrari though. And Lawrence takes the lead, but he's gone deep into turn 4. And Robsu's going to invite back down the inside for turn 5, but it's going to be the outside for turn 6. Surely he's going to have to give it up, and he does, and Lawrence has the lead. Daphne Hillis down in P4, and I will keep doing maths while the race goes on, Sumo, to let you know of championship standings when the times come.
Yes, very thankful for that, because maths isn't my strong point when I'm trying to watch 20 or so cars go around the circuit at full beans at the moment. JBSD putting some good pressure on Daphne Hillis. He's dropped way back from the Mercedes duo at the moment. It's a 1.6 second gap between the McLaren and LB in the other Mercedes at the moment, but that was a very George Russell-esque start to restart to this race from Lawrence. And he's just got to stay calm, keep that car on the circuit and stay where he's doing, and hope that Daphne Hillis can get caught up in some action, in some drama in this race, and maybe drop some points for this championship. Meanwhile, speaking of drama, here comes Cheryl Shaft on the other Ferrari. It's Krauser and Cheryl Shaft battling. The Haas goes deep at the moment and is going to still be challenged by the Ferrari of Krauser, but keeps the pace right now. Oh, and there goes Henry in the Alfa Romeo. Did he reset to track? That's going to be a huge visit to the steward's room.
It could well be. LB down the inside of Robsu on the run to turn 4. Mr. J-Man spins again on the main straight, but LB is up to second. It's a 1-2 for Mercedes as it stands, with Robsu in P3 and Daphne Hillis about a second behind in P4, and under pressure from JB, and no, Robsu spun. He's gone round. Can he get back on track without getting disqualified? That's the key. The game might disqualify him if he's not careful. I think he's going to be okay, and he rejoins safely in P7, but disaster for him, and Daphne Hillis promoted to P3. All he needs today, Sumo, is to finish 6th or higher, and he's guaranteed the championship. But even if he finishes 7th, Lawrence would need the win and fastest lap to take the title.
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly possible, but Daphne Hillis is no slouch behind the wheel of the race car at the moment. I think the closest battle on track is Henry. After his spin, he's all over the back of Little Manny Man at the moment. The now lead Red Bull, I think that looked a little bit shaky from the onboard, but it cut away just before they got through that part of the corner as well. Femi Thrustmaster's in the hunt as well. He's going down the inside of Robsu right now. The two of them side by side down through the centre S is P7 for Femi, but Robsu cuts back. It's still side by side between the two of them, but Robsu has to yield, and that's going to invite Little Manny Man and the other Alfa Romeo up. That's 3 places lost in 3 corners for the new driver of Robsu.
Oh, that's such a shame. There's nothing he could do about it, though, really. He was forced onto the bad line, and he had no traction on the exit, and turn 5 as well had no traction. Now Henry's putting the pressure on Lil Manny Man through turn 6. He's surely not going to send it down the inside. No, that's obviously going to end in a spin, and it does. And he's got to make sure he doesn't get disqualified as well, or a big penalty, but he's fine. Down to P10, rejoins safely.
Yeah, a little bit of a silly move there from Henry. Not the best place to try and make an overtake. It is doable, of course, but you've really got to trust the other driver who's going to give you the space. And I think that's Muhiti. He's having a little bit of trouble out there on the circuit. Got some damage, I think. Yeah, front left end plate missing on that Alpine. So more woes for Alpine. He'll be glad that the season is coming to an end at the moment. But we continue to watch.
Oh,
this.
Henry's gone! He's gone! How is he still in this race? That was a massive
Robson
impact.
As well.
Oh, sorry, Robsu, not Henry. Robsu. wrong driver. Henry was in an Aston Martin last season, so I was confused. But yeah, Robsu into the wall. I don't know how he's still in this race, though, Sumo. That was a huge impact, and somehow kept all four wheels on the car. But he's in for a new front wing.
What's going on here? Has LB slowed down, or did he have a mistake? Because Darth Hillis is all over the back of him now.
He's going to be backing him into the rest of the pack, Sumo. That's what's happening. It's teammates, team orders at Mercedes. LB trying his best to do a Perez here and force Darth down into the pack. Try and force the McLaren driver into a mistake. And because Lawrence is currently dominating this race.
Oh, where have I seen this before? 2016, if I recall.
Absolutely.
Gosh. Muhetti's going on the intermediates. He thinks the track's improving. It doesn't look as heavy out there, and it might just be improving as well. But yes, LB certainly going to be backing up, but he wants to be careful though, because it could invite Darth Hillis for a move at the minute. Cheryl Shaft and JBS Steve having a bit of a tussle now at the back here, just behind them. Cheryl Shaft going to go the long way round in towards turn one at the moment. Could this be a position for the Haas car? He's gone all the way around the outside. It is. What a move from Cheryl Shaft, puts himself up into P4, but JBS Steve is going to do a Max Verstappen. He's going to go all the way around the outside, but it's not quite going to work for the Ferrari at the moment. They're going to continue to chase down now towards turn 4 at the moment. JBS has a look to the inside. No move for the Ferrari at the moment, so it's as they were, P4 and P5 respectively.
I'm looking at Muhetti's.
Oh, I think that's the others. That's the J-Man have gone again.
J-Man again, but I'm keeping an eye on Muhetti's onboard, Sumo. He is looking very comfortable out there, to be honest. He doesn't look like he's in any trouble, so it could be interchanging weather. We'll have to see what his lap is as he comes across the line to the next lap.
He's going to have a look to the inside. It's very close. LB leads in the room, but they're going to emerge side by side on the run down to Jun Sao now, but it's still P3 for the McLaren at the moment. He had a little bit of a look, though, and this could end badly for LB if he is trying to back up after Hillis, because he will go for a move. He does know what's going on.
J-Man spins again. He's now lapped. Disaster for him. I think that's his championship over. Now he's been lapped. But yeah, Darth Hillis, he's got everything to lose, and LB has nothing to lose here. So it's all going to be a bit of a mental game for Darth Hillis. It's all on this final race, and he's made a mistake. Big mistake. Big snap of oversteer, and he's down to 4th. He's down to 5th. There's JB down the inside. Darth Hillis, all he needs to do is finish 6th to win the title, but right now he's lost 2 places in 1 corner, and but Crozer is 2.5 seconds behind him.
Yeah, Crozer's got a bit of work to do to catch up to this, but after Hillis, a mistake from the McLaren, and it's still a long way to go in this race. We're only on lap 8 of 36 at the moment. Anything can still happen, and there's pit stops, of course, to be had as well. There could be the chance of more safety cars as well, but Darth Hillis does look quick out there, but the mistakes are easily done in these wet conditions. There's very little grip and there's very little margin for error, and if any more bits of complacency come in from Darth, you could see him lose the championship by a very slim margin.
Indeed, Mr. J-Man has retired from the race after being lapped, unsurprisingly, but there's the kicker. Muhetti sets the fastest lap on the Inters. It's definitely going down to Inter weather. Cheryl Shaft stays out, LB into the pits, I assume for the intermediate tyres. Lawrence has stayed out. He's got a 6-second lead. He can afford for his teammate to test the conditions for him, but I think that fastest lap has just told everyone what the tyre to be on is.
Yeah, for sure, and I think even if LB doesn't manage to get some decent data for Lawrence, I think Lawrence will be in on the following lap, because if he's not, then his rivals might do the same thing. Meanwhile, is that some action going on a bit further back? I did see something, but I think it was Krauser and Femi Thrustmaster having a bit of a fight back here for P5 at the minute. Femi, he will need all of his competitors really not to finish in order to get in toward this championship, but he's running well, and he's run a good one at the moment as well, and anything could still happen for the time being. But let's ride back on board. We're right on board with Lawrence then. We'll see what he does as he's making his way round towards the pit straight.
Yeah, big snap of oversteer for Crozer out of turn 4, and Femi nearly had a look but he's going to have to wait a little bit longer as Darth Nihilus continues to chase JB as well. Is Lawrence coming in, Sumo? Keep us updated.
No, he's staying out. He's staying out on that current tyre. Cheryl Shaft, he's going to stay out as well. How about JB Steve? Out. He stays out. Darth Nihilus stays out too. So maybe not enters for the top 4 at the moment, but Krauser, he's in.
Wow, okay. Well then, another fastest lap flashing up for Muhiti. I don't know if the drivers see what tyre the fastest lap is set on, but if they do, I'm surprised by them staying out. Maybe they know more than we do. Maybe the game told them it's going to get wet again, or Mark, their engineer, has said that it's going to, the light rain's only going to last so long. But yeah, it's all about strategy here, and that's just what you don't want when you're fighting for a championship in the final race. You don't want to lose it on a poor strategy decision. So all the nerves are out for our championship contenders.
Yeah, they certainly are. It's all going to come down to what the right tyres are at the right time. Perhaps Mark is saying that there's not much difference between the wets and the inters, but it certainly seems that inters are the faster tyre at the moment. Especially, I don't think I see really Lawrence improving on previous bests at the moment.
Cheryl Shaft is catching him at a fast rate, about a second a lap. So Lawrence has got to make a decision soon. As he's in. There we go. Darth Nihilus putting pressure on JB as well. Are either of them going to come in? Cheryl Shaft stays out. JB in. Darth stays out. So it's all happening here. Darth Nihilus staying out. He doesn't want to make a poor call and lose the championship like that. Henry is in as well. Tito Man, he's on the wet, the last remaining one on the wets. Is he going to come into the pits? Yes, he is. So the only 3 on the wets are the top 3 who haven't stopped. As Lawrence exits the pits on the inters, and LB setting the fastest lap as well. So clearly it's the inter tyre, but is it going to get wet again? That's the question.
Yeah, that is the question indeed. This could be quite interesting. Maybe Cheryl Shaft off and Femi won't come in, but there's still plenty of time at the moment. They've seen that all the other drivers are on the intermediate tyres. Everybody's been pitting in early. It does look like the conditions have got a little bit better at the moment, even though it is still chucking it down with rain for the time being. But the water displaced on the circuit, that'll make a difference, and that'll make the circuit that little bit more grippy. There's less standing water on the racing line especially. But let's see what the top 3 do. I don't know if they're going to come in or not. It's Haas is making his way around now. Here comes Cheryl Shaft towards the pit lane. It's the only really action to comment on. There's not too many gaps, but Cheryl Shaft, he's coming in now. Late call for him. Darth finally coming in. Will Femi follow? He will. So everybody onto the inters.
Lawrence setting a purple sector 2 as well. I think the inters are still struggling a bit in the high-speed corners, but the low-speed corners, they are so much faster than the wets. Just from looking at the gap. Lawrence retakes the lead of the Brazilian Grand Prix. LB sets another fastest lap as he chases after his teammate and makes sure he comes out ahead of Cheryl Shaft. That's exactly what he's going to do. Coming round turn 3 now, he's ahead of Cheryl Shaft and ahead of the pack. And that's crucial, but what about JB? He is out ahead of Darth. That's crucial as well, as the McLaren is going to be down in P5.
Oh, it's a battle. There's Krauser and Femi Thrustmaster. Krauser coming out ahead of Femi Thrustmaster, then just ahead of the out for Romeo. They're going to continue their battle as they were before they came in for their stops at the moment. But close between those two then. This is our closest fight on the track. It's Krauser and Femi Thrustmaster right now. And Ferrari with Mr. J-Man's actually retired. So I think Ferrari, as long as they don't drop all the way back, I think this Constructors' Championship is theirs. Well,
the gap was, I believe, 14 points. And JB currently gaining 7 on Lil Manny Man. Crozer gaining 14. So yeah, as it stands, they would win the title by 7 points. So all they've got to do is both stay in the race. With Mr. J-Man retiring, it could be crucial for the constructors, as Lawrence now sets the fastest lap as he finally gets on board with his true pace again.
Yeah, getting a feel for the circuit, getting a feel for the tyres that he's just pit onto at the moment. I think this wet race has kind of robbed us of some of the close action at the moment, and with all the strategies being played out and all the drivers sort of breaking away. It's known as the great equaliser, of course, the rain, but when there's no DRS, there's not much ability to stick with the other cars as well. There's a lack of action at the moment, and Lawrence is just cruising around, although that's Muhiti around. That's in sector 2. I think he's going to continue. Yeah, there's no barriers to greet him, but he's lost his wing.
Every time I see a yellow flag, I think, is it Lawrence? Yeah, Darth Nihilus, though, he is very comfortable at the moment. He is 3.6 seconds ahead of the position which would lose him the title. He is P5. As it stands, he would win the title by just 1 point. So it's, sorry, 1 or 2 points, something like that. All I know is he needs to finish 6th or higher to be certain of the title, but a big snap there. That was close.
Yeah, you won't want to do too many more of those, because I could see him fall into the clutches of Krauser, or perhaps him spin around. Cheryl Sharp now fastest lap for the Haas at the moment, so he's looking very quick out there around this Interlagos circuit. Let's ride back along with Krauser and Femi. Femi having a look at the Ferrari. No move yet from Femi in that Alfa Romeo as they make their way through the S's.
Yeah, Femi with a much better exit out of turn 2 and on to turn 3. He's going to go for it here. He's very close to the Ferrari. Down the inside he goes. He's going to go for it under braking, and he makes the move stick as long as he can get it stopped, and he does. Great stuff from Femi. Crozer is fighting him back, and Femi goes wide. Crozer with a snap of oversteer. I think that is the Alfa Romeo ahead. 4.4 seconds is the gap to Darth. And I think Femi is definitely the faster of the two, but whether he can catch that sort of gap is another question.
Well, we'll wait and see for sure. And with any luck, he might do. Darth might make some more mistakes. As of yet, you never really know. That's Muhiti, but he's ghosted. He's a lapped car now, so that's his race over, more or less, for the Alpine at the moment. We'll continue to watch, but look at that. Femi's already pulled a second away from Krauser at the moment, and he's going to be focusing on his own pace. He'll be looking at Darth, who's ahead of him at the moment. Darth himself is looking to try and close back up to JBS Steve. He doesn't want to lose any more places, does Darth?
Certainly doesn't. Muhiti should really be getting out the way here. Blue flags do exist whether or not you're ghosted. But regardless, Henry sending the fastest lap. So Crozer under pressure from another Alfa Romeo now as they go through turn 3. Henry with a much better exit. Again, it's deja vu. Alfa Romeo down the inside of a Ferrari leading on to turn 4. A bit of wheel banging as Crozer shuts the door. But he did get a much better exit out of turn 3 in the end. And he keeps the place for now. But for how long?
Yeah, that almost ended in tears there, but very lucky not to. Any sort of knocks are really going to disrupt the car, and Henry looking toward the outside of this couple of corners, then to the inside, no way through. I think he'll learn from that one.
Oh, he's gone for it!
But he's gone for a dive into the next part of the corner. That was a brave move, and I think Krauser saw it coming, and he let him through. It's still going to be side by side, but all the way around the outside. Will Krauser try and move into this next part of the circuit? No, and it's going to be Henry up into P7.
That's a great move from Henry, it has to be said. He's up to 7th place as Muhiti very wide there in the lapped Alpine. Little Manny Man getting a time penalty, and how much will the time penalties matter? We're only about halfway through this race, and only 2 time penalties so far for track limits, but I'm sure there'll be more as the race goes on, as Henry very slow. What is happening to Henry there on the main straight? He's Crozer down the inside, a bit of contact. Henry extremely slow for some reason. I don't know what happened there, but he keeps P7 for now, but that was really odd.
Yeah, that was strange indeed. I'm not sure what's going on with Henry being that slow, but I think he might have sorted that out, whatever the issue was. That's an odd one.
Yeah, it certainly was. LB, meanwhile, is catching his teammate quite rapidly now. 2.7 seconds is the gap. He's catching him about 2 or 3 tenths per lap, usually, but sometimes it's more at the moment. But that's a good exit for Lawrence there out of turn, I believe, 10. Or 11, and LB round the final proper corner. It's back up to 3.1, but do keep an eye on that gap, because Cheryl Shaft is there as well, and he could disrupt the Mercedes party at the moment. 2.4 behind LB, and if anything happens, he'll be there to reap the benefits. Darth Nihilus, though, still very comfortable in P5, and he's pulled away from Femi by about 1.5 seconds since the last time we checked. And that's all he needs to do. Just stay P5 or P6, and he will take the title, no matter what Lawrence does.
Yeah, he certainly will. And Darth running a very decent race at the moment. He's had a few mistakes, though, and there's still plenty of time to go. And I'm sure there might be a couple more pit stops or so to see at the minute, or the Darth is trying to close in on JBS Steve at the minute, or he'll definitely want to try and get ahead of the Ferrari if he can, as that's just going to help him cinch it even more. But how much does he risk, really? Like, it's his championship to lose now. If he makes any minor mistake that he might live to regret, that could be the championship all over for him. So how much does Darth really go for it? Does he settle for P5, or does he continue to race in the spirit of racing?
Well, Sumo, if it were me, I would just sit exactly where I am, seeing the gap to Femi being as big as it is, knowing that I'm under no threat of losing that P5 at the moment. I would just keep my car exactly where it is and make sure I finish where I need to finish, because I mean, after all, you can't affect what your rivals do, but you can affect how you finish. And if driving carefully and cautiously to secure a mediocre finish that secures the title is what it's going to take, then that's what you're going to do, at least for me.
Yeah, for sure, and I think that might be the sensible option for Darth. I don't think he'll want to try and risk anything, any sort of major contact, especially in such treacherous conditions, could see him out of the race, and that's the last thing he'll want as well. He's had such a great campaign in this championship fight, really taking it to the others, reaping the rewards of other drivers making mistakes, fighting hard, and being the fastest man as well when it needed to be. And he's had a fair few wins under his belt now as the Mexican driver, and he's had quite the entrance into APPF1, and it'll be great to see him continue that stint as we go into seasons beyond this.
Yeah, certainly will. Well, constructors Ferrari are still leading. It would take one of them to DNF for the situation to change, really. But a fantastic exit there from JB onto the main straight. But Cheryl Shaft has caught LB by about a second since the last time I checked. 1.4 now is the gap, and he could catch up to the Mercedes and force LB to catch up to his teammate, because I think LB is holding back a bit. He doesn't want to catch Lawrence too much. But I think what we're going to see is LB, as soon as Cheryl Shaft does manage to get near, he is going to slam the brakes on again and hold up the Haas and push him back to make sure Lawrence wins this race.
Yeah, he certainly will, and I think it's, you know, I mean, it may not be completely in the spirit, but as long as he's not causing any danger out on the circuit, then it's completely fine to do. And I think Cheryl Shaft is getting within that 1 second range now. No DRS though to help him, so he's going to have to continue to close up. Speaking of closing up, 4 tenths now is the gap between Darth Nihilus and JBS Steve at the moment. Darth, I think he might just want to get ahead of this Ferrari and try and go after the top 3.
Well, if he can, if the opportunity presents itself, then he will definitely want that extra position. It's more security because Femi is catching now because he's not able to get past JB. Although Femi with a time penalty, that's going to alleviate Darth's fears a little bit. But obviously with Femi's dives and late braking in Tier 2 this season, he might want to steer well clear of the Alfa Romeo when he's fighting for this title.
Yeah, the last thing he'll want is any drama to spoil the championship for him at this stage. But it might be wise to be mindful of Femi Frustmaster, but that gap will now be around 6 seconds with that penalty. So Darth doesn't really need to worry. I think he's just better off sticking with it. I mean, he'll want to race, of course. Racing drivers are selfish creatures by nature, and what we want to we still want to race and have a bit of fun. Look, he's getting even closer through turn 8 there, but he's not going for any sort of moves at the moment. I think if any mistake creeps up from JBS Steve, Darth Hillis will be all over it.
Certainly will. At the moment, Lawrence does not have the fastest lap, and to be honest, he's nowhere near it. Sumo Henry has it by about half a second. So Darth Nihilus, his goal has changed now. All he needs to do is finish 7th or higher, and he will take the title. So as long as Lawrence doesn't snatch the fastest lap unexpectedly.
Here comes Darth. He has a little look in towards turn 1, not quite close enough to make a move though under braking, and stays behind for the time being. I mean, JBS Steve's almost got a full battery compared to Darth's 35%. So I think Darth is struggling a little bit in these conditions.
He is, and the desperation is going to start setting in. Now he's seeing that gap to Femi plummet at the moment. 2.8, 2.7 seconds it is at the moment. And it's coming down very rapidly as JB is just not able to compete with Darth in the corners. But on the straights, Darth goes for it down the inside. JB leaves the room. Very generous from JB, it has to be said. He just didn't want to be responsible for a championship-defining incident, but it would all have been Darth's fault, and he's made the move. JB very, very cautious there, extremely generous to the McLaren on space given, and that is Darth up to 4th place. And Lawrence, when he watches that back and sees how easy JB made that for Darth, might have a few words with the Ferrari driver after the race.
Yeah, I think so. I think that was a bit too easy, JBS Steve. I mean, yeah, you may not be fighting them for the championship, but you know, you're still entitled to race at the end of the day. Like, you know, you're the car ahead. I think he made that far too easy. He could have definitely put himself in the way. He made that harder for Darth, but he just sort of said, "Oh, you're coming through." It's a bit like overtaking the AI, who you can go up the inside and they yield.
Yeah, exactly right. He could have shut the door on Darth there with no complaints whatsoever, because Darth was nowhere near him when he went for the lunge. So JB just making sure he's not responsible for deciding a championship that he's not part of. Yeah, like we say, made it very easy for Darth there, as Cheryl Schaff now is the new driver within contention of taking a place. He's right behind LB, but the Mercedes is going to back him up wherever possible.
Yeah, he is. And look at the gap. It's 9.5 seconds to the next driver, so it's going to be a very lonely few laps, especially till they catch up at the moment. But Cheryl Schaff looking incredibly quick. He might challenge LB, but LB definitely slowing up a little bit. He's dropped, it's almost 4 seconds now, the gap between LB and his teammate Lawrence up in the lead at the minute. And yeah, this is going to be the fight we're watching along with, but we'll keep an eye, because JBS Stevie's staying with Darth. The 2 Alfa Romeos are on the back of Femi Fussmaster as well. So if Darth gets a penalty, of course, this could all change. And if Femi and Henry start getting a bit racy as well, this could be quite the battle. All the 4 of those cars are down there, a little bit further back from these 2 as Cheryl Schaff is very close to the back of that Mercedes.
Yeah, and another fastest lap for Henry as well. He is flying in the Alfa Romeo, but Femi, we know how he's been this season, takes no prisoners at all. And if he gets an opportunity on Darth, he is going to send it, and he's not going to give any room at all. As Cheryl Schaff right behind LB has to make a quick maneuver to avoid the Mercedes going into the last corner, but LB keeps him behind for now. But Cheryl Schaff looking very racy, and if he can get past LB, he could make it up as Henry gets past his teammate for P6.
Well, I think that might have been a little bit of team orders, but maybe not, because it looks like they're fighting a bit hard, these 2 Alfa Romeos at the moment, and they've sort of been a bit of a hamper to themselves. They're going to go side by side in towards the first couple of corners. Femi takes the place back from Henry at the moment. Femi won't be too happy that his teammate is slowing him down. These guys need to work together.
Yeah, I think maybe it might have been a mistake from Femi, and then Henry's let him back through, because Henry knows, I'm sure Henry knows that Femi is fighting for the title here. Obviously, very, very slim chance to take it, but it's still, you know, anything can happen, and if he can put pressure on Darth, then you never know. But certainly JB doesn't look like he's going to put any pressure on Darth, so it's up to Femi to get past the Ferrari, and then get up to the McLaren and maybe go for something.
Yeah, perhaps. Although Henry looks the faster of the two Alfa Romeos out there, it must be said, he's all over the back, and Femi's got to get a move on, I think. This last thing he needs is Darth finding some pace and breaking away from JB and making his life all that harder. And look, it's already 1.1 seconds between JB and Darth Nihilus at the moment, so Femi's really got to get a move on here.
JB's exits out of that final corner are sublime. No one is, well, no one that's behind him has come anywhere near replicating his exits out of that corner. That's why Darth was stuck behind him for so long, as Cheryl Shaft again right behind LB on the run to turn 4. Is he going to go for it again? LB covers the inside, Cheryl Shaft round the outside. LB leaves him as little space as possible while still being fair, and LB takes the inside line and keeps the place. Brilliant defending from the Mercedes, but Cheryl Shaft is looking extremely fast, and he's gone for it. Oh, that could have ended in tears, as LB just about survived that lunge, but Cheryl Shaft, he really wants to get past this Mercedes.
That was insanely close between the two of them. How there wasn't contact there, I do not know, but that was some great racing to watch, and Cheryl Shaft really applying the pressure now. But LB doing well to keep Lawrence back, and look, goes that gap. It's gone from 9 seconds to about 6.6 now.
Yeah.
So LB really backing him up now.
Yeah, Darth is very comfortable at the moment. So, I mean, LB, I don't know if he's going to be thinking as far ahead as to back Cheryl Shaft into Darth, which will then put Darth under pressure from the cars behind him. I don't know if he's going to think that far ahead. I don't know if he has that much intel. But certainly Cheryl Shaft struggling to get past the Mercedes at the moment. Some great defending from LB as he now pushes the gap back ahead. Henry right behind his teammate again, looking to make the pass. There's no team orders. Alfa Romeo, it seems there's a bit of contact that could have ended in tears as well. But Henry right behind Femi Thrustmaster now. Is he going to go for the move into turn 4? He is going to go for it. Brakes very late. Femi leaves in the room. Henry up to P6. It's a good move. He got the car stopped. Femi had to go wide, but yeah, the two Alphas swap positions as now Femi is going to be desperate to get back past.
Yeah, I think it was only a matter of time before Henry made a move. I think he has looked very switched on. He's looked a lot more collected in that Alfa Romeo, and he just made his way past. I think he's got a bit frustrated. Look, he's already closing in on JBS Steve. He's definitely the faster of the two Alfa Romeos.
Yeah, absolutely. Darth still comfortable in P4, but 1.5 seconds is the gap to JB. If Henry can get past the Ferrari relatively quickly, then I think he's got by far the pace advantage on the McLaren ahead in clear air. So here comes Henry, but again that exit from JB onto the main straight is unbelievable, and Henry just nowhere near on the straight, and in fact slowing down on the straight again as the contact. Femi loses some front wing contact with Henry. I don't know why Henry is so slow on that main straight. Something is wrong with that Alfa Romeo, and Femi into the back of him. That is a broken front wing, and that I think is definitely championship gone for Femi, as Robsu gets past Proza for P8, a lot further behind.
That could be something we see in the steward room a little later. Proza having a little bit of a look back. He wants to try and battle for that position a bit more, but the Aston Martin just a bit too far ahead at the time being. I've got a bit of intel, Ghost. I had a comment come into my stream that was very quickly deleted, but I had enough time to read it. Yeah, so here we go. I think he's put it back in there. So Darth and I had a collision. So if I was him, I wouldn't be that comfortable in that position.
Who's that? So
that's Mr. J-Man saying that. So the stewards could be the deciding factor in this championship at the moment. So there's going to be some extra drama then. Jack Alaco's still not going to catch a break here at Tier 2 one day. there'll be very few reports, I'm sure, but it's not going to be today, and this could be one that really changes things. And Darth Hillis might not be as comfortable, but Henry's got 5 seconds of penalties. Femi, he's got 3 seconds of time penalties as well, and he's in the pits now. And there might be a bit of a report coming in between the two alphas, I think, as well.
Yeah, quite possibly. But I mean, even a 15-second penalty wouldn't change anything for Darth Nihilus, because all he needs to do, Lawrence, I don't think he's going to get near that fastest lap from Henry. So all Darth needs to do is finish in the top 7, and he will take the title. At the moment, he is well clear of P8. Robzu about 30-40 seconds down the road. So at the moment it's Darth to lose. A bit of a snap of oversteer there through Sector 2. He's got to make sure to limit those. He can't afford a solo mistake losing in this title. That would be devastating.
Yeah, certainly. Which might be a little bit staticky there, Ghost, just to let you know. But we'll carry on along with the race. But we'll watch Cheryl Shaft as he continues his campaign. Henry all over the back of JBS Steve as well. 2 of the closest battles on the circuit. Henry looking very fast then, but it might be a visit for the stewards from the Alfa Romeo, but he's gonna be closing in on JBS Steve. Still no way through though. JB with that exit out of the final corner really helping him in his defensive campaign to keep this Alfa Romeo at bay for the time being.
Yeah, I'm just gonna ride on board with Henry and see if I can diagnose his problem. It's definitely on the straights. He's losing a lot of momentum on straights, but I can't quite figure out why. I'm just going to keep an eye on his telemetry and let you know if I spot anything.
Right, that would be very useful, but we'll try and watch these fights. At the moment, there's a little bit of a fight brewing toward the back as well. That's Fido Man and Little Manny Man. They're having a bit of fun. Henry gets himself a 3-second time penalty. Just 8 seconds of penalties now for the Alfa Romeo. That's not going to help him out. He's going to go dive into the inside though, JB Steve. And JB gives him the room at the moment, but he's got the better run in towards the next part of the circuit. But then he's going to switch under. Is Henry at the moment. Has a little think about going up the inside of Jung Sao, but it's not going to work for the time being. And slots back in behind the Ferrari, and he's going to chase him all the way up the hill, down towards the start-finish line at the moment. That's Muhiti spinning, bringing out yellow flags in Sector 2. But Henry, look, he's just very little speed on that straight.
I can't figure out why, Sumo. I was just looking at the throttle and brake to see if there was maybe a problem with his pedals, and his brake was stuck on, or his throttle wasn't going to full power or something. But no, it doesn't seem to be anyway. It might be like lag, and maybe because the brake is sort of stuttering in and out. Maybe that's what's happening, and so because of the slight delay on connection, I can't see it on the screen. But everything looks normal from my point of view. We'll have to ask Henry about it afterwards, interview or not. But he's gone for it down the inside. Great move on JB down the inside. Henry takes P5. JB leaves him the room. He knows he's absolutely fine because Henry has the penalties and he doesn't. But yellow flags, that is Muhiti retiring in the pits. An unfortunate end to a dismal season for the Turkish driver who finished runner-up in the championship last season.
Yeah, it's a shame for Alpine, really. I mean, Tommy's missed the last few races, and the pair of them were just crashing and not looking like the pair of champions who...
Lawrence with a 3-second penalty.
Oh, and won the drivers as well with Tommy Alex. But Lawrence, 3-second time penalty. How detrimental is that going to be? I don't think LB will want to interfere, but he may not have a choice, as he's got Cheryl Shaft for company. Cheryl Shaft, he'll have seen that penalty and he'll want to get involved. There's been an incident. LB's had a mistake. Cheryl Shaft has found his way through and he's going to try and close it on Lawrence now. So the win under front, but he's let him back. I think there might have been contact.
Yeah, I think so. That's noble from Cheryl Shaft, because he could have just gone on and tried to catch Lawrence with that penalty, but he let LB back through. Must have been some contact between them, and very noble that is from Cheryl Shaft. Henry is now less than a second behind Darth Nihilus, by the way. And obviously the McLaren can afford to let him by, even keep the position because of Henry's penalties, but what he cannot afford to do is get caught up in a battle. So I think Darth might have seen Henry's fastest laps earlier on and might just think, right, you go, all I need to do is finish in the top 7. I'm perfectly fine the way I am, and I'm just going to let you go if you get an opportunity.
Yeah, he won't want to get caught up fighting with Henry. He doesn't really need to. He's just got to stay ahead. But I think he's a bit. I think he is trying to defend that place, though. I'm not sure. I don't know. Maybe Darth doesn't know how secure he is in this championship, or perhaps he does. But he's using that battery to try and defend, I think, and keep Henry at bay at the moment. And it's still, I mean, Henry in his helicopter shot as well. He doesn't look incredibly quick on these straights, even with the slipstream, even with the slightly more battery as well. But he's closing in on the McLaren now, and he's getting even closer as they come up the hill.
Oh, Henry's not going to shy away from the move. He goes down the inside. Darth lets him through. Not his fight. All he needs to do is finish top 7. He definitely knows he's comfortable, Sumo. He said in the chat before the race started, he said, according to my maths, all I need to do is finish in the top 6. And he's absolutely right. But obviously with Lawrence not getting the fastest lap, he only needs top 7. So he's very, very happy in P5 at the moment with 4 laps to go at the end of this one. Darth Nihilus is just a few miles of track away from claiming the title.
Yeah, he is. I mean, wouldn't it be quite the irony would be quite large if something was to happen to Darth Nihilus in these last few laps. It would just be quite, well, poetic, I suppose. It'd be very interlagos, wouldn't it?
Yes.
If anything was to happen, you know, just going slowly into Junsao or just spinning out and crashing, who knows? But Darth Nihilus is only a few laps away from Tier 2 glory at the minute. Meanwhile, a battle rages on toward the back. Feeder Man and Little Manny Man are having a bit of a tussle between themselves for P11 and 10 at the moment. We continue to keep our eyes on Cheryl Shaft, who has been stuck behind LB lap after lap after lap, and that Lawrence has opened up a gap of 7.3 seconds, especially after the incident. It's a shame I didn't quite see it, because it just happened a bit too much after. But look, Henry's closing up on LB here.
He's closing up on the two of them. 3 laps to go at the end of this one. Robsu now has the fastest lap though. In the Aston Martin, he's gone on to new tyres to get it. That's why. So a bit of consolation for him for what has been a poor race, really, to be honest, given his performance last week. But Henry is closing. 3 laps to go. He is going to be on the back of Cheryl Shaft before the end of this race. I'm sure he is. And he could drag Darth Nihilus up, but Darth Nihilus doesn't want anything to do with that battle for the podium, I'm pretty sure. All he's happy about is just driving in clean air and getting to the checkered flag. So we will see. He's got a 5-second gap to JD, 23 seconds to Femi, and then another 21 seconds to Crozer. So at the moment he's about 50 seconds ahead of the position that would lose him the title. So he's very safe at the moment.
Yeah, he is at the moment, and that's where he needs to be. That's where he's going to stay. I don't think he'll get anywhere near this battle. He won't touch it with a 10-foot barge pole if he can help it at the moment. And there's 8 seconds of penalties on that Alfa Romeo, so the chances are Darth finishes in P4 anyway, despite sitting behind and not getting too involved. But Henry's already on the back then. It's going to be a 3-lap sprint for these 3 cars as they make their way through Junsao for one of the final times this evening at the moment. But LB is leading them around at the minute. Shell Shaft has not been able to make her way through. I think that's Krauser. He's had a bit of an error at the moment as well.
Penalty for Cheryl Shaft, and that could invite Darth Nihilus onto the podium, Sumo. It's only 3.6 seconds between the McLaren and the Haas as it stands. So LB, he's got to make sure that he doesn't lose Cheryl Shaft too much time here. As Cheryl Shaft down the inside on the grass as he goes for it. Tito's retired from the session.
Tito and Money Man have both crashed.
Oh no, contact between the two. It's too late for a safety car though, so we won't have any late drama. But Cheryl Shaft still can't get past LB. Henry is right there. Is he going to send it down the inside for P3? Yes, he is. Down he goes. Henry up to third place. Cheryl Shaft's going to fight him though. Round the outside, the inside for the next corner. Henry holds it all the way around the outside though. Much better traction on that Alfa Romeo. And he is up to P3 with just 1 lap to go at the end of this one. But Darth Nihilus is less than 3 seconds behind Cheryl Shaft and could find himself on the podium.
Yeah, he certainly could, and he might want to get on the podium for all of his troubles as well. But it won't matter too much to him, as he only got 1 more lap to navigate as Lawrence begins that final lap to get to the Tier 2 Championship at the minute. And I think we might have found a new king in the wet at the moment. But here comes Cheryl Shaft down the inside of turn 1 on Henry. They're going to be side by side once again. Henry goes all the way around and invites him to go back behind him and sit there in the wake of the Alfa Romeo at the moment and continue to follow along. He's got those penalties, so it's not going to matter too much for Henry, but he'll want to still finish on the podium on track at least.
He certainly will. He's been very strong on pace this race, and now he's catching up to LB through the first sector, down towards sector 2 now. Henry on the intermediate tyres. Is he going to go for a lunge? No, he's not. Not this time. We've got yellow flags. That is Crozer who spun in sector 2. But we're on the final lap. Henry, is he going to go for a lunge into this corner? No, he's too far back this time. No, is he? There's a bit of contact as he brakes much better than LB, but still no overtake. But I'll let you commentate for the end of the final lap, Sumo.
There's Lawrence then. He's been on an absolutely great run of form, but he's not going to see him a championship at the moment, but he's going to cross the line to win the final race. He's going to slow down as well a little bit to let everybody else sort of catch up, but Lawrence crosses the line, the winner, but it's Darth Nihilus through thick and thin of this championship. He's going to be your new Tier 2 champion in the McLaren, and what a season he has had. He started as a reserve driver, he joined later on into the season, and it was race after race after race where he's been on top form, on the top parts of the podium, on the podium as well, and it's been an incredible season for the Mexican driver, and he must be absolutely thrilled. I remember interviewing him, and he said he wasn't too focused on the championship, and he's become our championship winner, and what a season it's been. And I think now with both Red Bulls out as well, it's going to be the Ferrari duo of JBS Steven Krauser, your constructors champions. And what a downfall for Red Bull, but what a comeback for the Scuderia.
What a comeback indeed. Fantastic stuff. It is definitely, they've definitely secured it, but it will be very close, Sumo. The gap was, well, because I think Lil Manuman will score. I think he completed enough of the race. The gap was 14 points. JB will have gained 14 there, and Crozer will have gained 1. I think they've got it by 1 point. We'll see how it works out, but I think it's by 1 point. So what a comeback from them. But somehow LB wins the race. I don't know what happened to Lawrence at the end. Maybe slowed down to let LB win because he didn't feel he deserved it, maybe. I have no idea what happened. We'll find out in interviews, but I'll let you run through the order, Sumo.
Yeah, so I'll quickly move over to the interview party as well before the order pops up. So I'll get over there. With Lawrence crossing the line in P2 by only a tenth of a second because of time penalties. Daphne Hillis, our champion, finishes on that final step of the podium, as well as claiming the Tier 2 championship. Cheryl Schaff comes home in P4 after a great race, with Henry coming home in P5. JBS Steve, the lead Ferrari of our constructors winning duo. Hopefully they are at least, and it's going to be very tight margins for the pair of them. Femi Thrustmaster P7. He's not going to be too thrilled after the contact with his teammate, but it's been quite a season for him. Rob Sue coming home in P8 with crowns at the last of the finishes in P9 with Little Manny Man and Fido Man. They are classified, so they will score some points, with Muhiti, Mr. J-Man and Tier not finishing this race.
Wow, what a race that was. What a finale to this Tier 2 championship. It looked like for a long time that Daphne Hillis was going to be under a lot of pressure, and indeed he was. But in the end, he prevailed. No penalties for the Mexican, and P3 in the end, but that does not tell the story at all. He was under a lot of pressure that race, and yes, he was comfortably in the position that he needed to be at the end, or towards the end, but still, he still had to make sure he didn't bin it. And as well as dealing with quite aggressive braking and drivers just behind him trying to take the position. So a great drive from him.
Yeah, certainly. So I think we're waiting for the rest of the podium runners to jump into the party as well. We're missing Lawrence and missing LB for the time being. I don't know if anybody else is joining in. It's the last race of the season, of course.
Who's in at the moment?
Sort of decided. Wait and see.
Okay.
More time.
Yeah,
I might have an issue with the lobby as well.
I'll just ping Lawrence and LB.
Yes, give him a ping. Get them in. But what a race. What a season.
Amazing stuff. And I think Lawrence will be ruining Baku even more.
Yes.
Because if it wasn't for that, he would definitely have taken this title. He has just joined the party as well, and LB. So Lawrence, I'll let it's Lawrence Sumo. Sumo, I'll let you get on with the interview.
Yes, and I think we'll save the best for last. So I'll start with LB then. Winner of the race by 1/10 of a second, because I don't know what was it planned? Was Lawrence always just going to give you the win anyway, LB? What happened there?
No, that was completely unplanned. I don't actually know what happened. I sort of just crossed the line and then said, "Did you know what you've just done?" I think he ran out of fuel though, or something happened.
No, I gave you the win. I gave you the win.
Oh yeah, of course he did. I mean, I saw him just sort of sideways on the start-finish. I didn't really know what happened. He was too far ahead. But no, it wasn't planned. But it wasn't a good station.
Well, I mean, we're watching quite intently that throughout that race, you were acting sort of as Lawrence's wingman. Sort of, what's the plan to always try and back up the rest of the drivers and sort of give Daphne Hillis a little bit of a challenge, as he's going to have sort of some pressure on from the rest of the drivers in this race?
Yeah, there was multiple things going on. I think the idea was just Lawrence just has to win, so that was the main focus, just making sure that he won. And then I wasn't anywhere really sort of near Darth. When he was behind me, yeah, I was holding up. Yeah, of course I was. But when he then sort of gapped like to a few places behind, that's probably the best thing he could have done, was just create a gap, because I would have held him up. But other drivers like Cheryl Schaff, that was a bit of fun battling. Like, I was definitely pushing. But as soon as it started, I was, doing my job as a teammate, doing what I had to do. But that was some really good battling with Cheryl Shaft. I quite enjoyed that one.
Yeah, we did see quite a lot of the battle with Cheryl Shaft, and there was a bit of an incident as well. I don't think we quite caught it on the stream. Could you just run us through what happened there?
Yeah, I can't put any blame to either of us, really. I think Mahiti's AI came back out on track, and it was just in the braking zone. From distance, it looked like it was still like a solid car, so I think we both tried to avoid it. I was able to avoid it and then brake properly, but I don't think Cher was able to react and just went into the back of me. But obviously he gave me the place back, so there's no like anger or malicious. It was fair. Like there's nothing that we really could have done with like an AI car just sort of hearts on the racing line on the braking point.
Yeah, it sounds like a bit of a misunderstanding then, just on the track then. But quite the season for you, LB, and I think I asked you last week whether you regret not being in part of the season from the very beginning, and of course you had all those issues with your connections, so the championship was kind of robbed from you. But it's been quite a good season. Are there any ambitions to continue and fight for a championship next time?
Oh yeah, 100%. I mean that's what I'm here for. I want to get 2-time champion. Obviously this season wasn't possible, but hopefully in the next tier 2 we'll be able to see what we can do.
Well, hopefully you won't be sabotaged by your internet provider next season.
There will be war.
Yeah, certainly so. Well, I look forward to seeing you as you go on to the next season, and I'm sure you'll be on track for the F2 season, which should be a lot of fun.
Yeah,
but
fun.
well, it may have been a surprise, but well done, LB, for tonight's win.
Thank you for the comms, boys, as well. Thank you very much for the comms.
You're most welcome. It's always a pleasure.
Right, well, we come then to Lawrence in, P2 apparently, but yeah, I mean, what a start you had to start with. I think P4 on the grid, and then or P5, something like that, and then straight up to second, and then getting past, I think it was Robsu at the front pretty quickly, and then allowing LB to hold up the drivers behind. So talk us through that first lap.
Yeah, I had a good start. I was quite surprised how much grip I had off the line compared to the others ahead of me. Just picked up a few places, and I believe it was the virtual safety car which came out, and I was behind Robsu. I just timed my delta once it said the safety car was coming in. I could put my foot down without going like under the delta time, and it just gave me a good run on in into the first corner, and it just opened up nicely for the second corner, and that was that. LB did great throughout the whole race. He did what he was supposed to do, but I think it was quite evident by even with like about 4 or 5 laps to go, just looking at the position of the cars on the track. Unfortunately, it wasn't going to be my day, so I thought the next thing I could do for him was just give him the win at the end.
Well, I mean, you did absolutely everything you could today. A fantastic drive from sort of mid-grid to get it to the top pretty quickly, and then keeping that throughout the race, even with LB holding people up. But I mean, talk us through, I mean, the season in general. I mean, it's a championship that's lost by 8 points in the end, but I mean, obviously you're going to be thinking about last week as where it all went wrong. But I mean, are you still pleased with how the season has gone, and will you be back next season to try and take the title again?
Well, first of all, yes, we'll definitely give it a go next season. Overall, over the season, I think I won the opener, and then there was Spa where Pommy put me in the barrier, and unfortunately, and I can't remember too much. There's a few inconsistent races. I think Hungary was one of them. There was last week as well where I just outbraked myself, and unfortunately took out Mr. J-Man. Race as well, and unfortunately that race I missed looks like it was the most costly one as well. So that's life. We go again next year.
We certainly will. There will be one more season before the new game after the F2 Cup, so I'm sure you'll be back, Lawrence, back to the top, and I look forward to another season with you fighting for a title.
Yeah, thank you very much. Also, once again, thank you for the comms this year, Ghost and Sumo. Absolutely brilliant.
No problem at all. Always a pleasure, like Sumo says. I will hand over to the man himself to interview our new champion.
Well, it is my pleasure to congratulate our newest champion in APPF1 Tier 2. I've been in APPF1 Tier 2 comms box now for 6 seasons, and I've seen many a champion, and it's always great to crown a new one. And Daphne Hillis, a huge congratulations first of all for becoming our newest of many champions. You go up there, of course, with the likes of Tin Oz, and gosh, I'm trying to remember them all now, but I'll save the time remembering them. Who was that? Sorry, LB a champion. Yeah, he was a champion, of course. But there's a lot of them to go around. But anyway, it was an absolutely great season. And I remember in an interview prior, Daphne Hillis, you said to us that you weren't really too focused on the championship, and I think you were saying that you were just trying to sort of race and see what happened. And I think that's a great mindset to go into. And I think if you could say anything to yourself of then, what would you say?
Oh, first of all, thanks for all the comms, for the races. They have been great, Sumo and Ghost. Well, that's a tough question because I think I was in the right mentality back then, and I think I did it. I managed to maintain it today, so I would say just keep digging, keep your head down, and take it race by race, session by session, moment by moment.
Yeah, we were sort of commenting on your race, and from what we could see, it looked like you weren't really taking too many risks. I think you knew what was at stake, and you knew what was expected of you. And just sort of talk us through the race then, from sort of start to finish, as it sort of happened.
Well, thankfully from back I had like a 10-point advantage, so I knew that Lawrence needed to win and get fastest lap, and me finishing lower than 6th, so he could take it. So that was a big relief. It was a matter of being up there, but like not take too many risks, not risk a crash or something like that. So that was pretty much it. In qualifying, I was surprised a little bit by the pace because I usually struggle a lot in the rain, and I think that was the case for a great majority of the race, or at least for half of the race. I was like suffering a little bit with the rain, but on the second half of the race I became a little bit more comfortable and a little bit faster throughout, but there was no pace to challenge LB, Lawrence or Shaft for that. But thankfully I managed to be where I needed to be within those top 6 and not making any mistakes.
Yeah, and it must have been quite nerve-wracking going into the race, especially seeing that it was wet conditions. I mean, there's no room for error in those sorts of conditions, and you've got drivers behind you as well who won't be too shy to go for moves and stuff like that. So were you worried about any of that as you were going through the race, especially in those early laps?
In the early laps, no, but it was around half race where I was behind JB Steve, and I was like really starting to worry because the other Alfa Romeo and Femi were coming through. Henry and Femi were coming through really fast, so I was like, I need to get an overtake done on Steve before they close up, because if they close up and something happens, I could be in a really bad place. But thankfully I managed to overtake him and keep a stable gap through him, and when Henry came in, I just let him go. I saw he had like 8 seconds of penalties, and like, just go, I'll try to keep behind you. And in the final couple of laps, Shaft also got a penalty, and they began battling each other, which helped me to close the 8 and 3 second gap respectively, so I managed the podium as well, which is a great way to end the season.
Yeah, certainly a great way to end the season, especially finishing on the podium, taking home the championship as well. And we're going to have a bit of a time off until the next championship, but Darth, can we expect to see you back behind the wheel next season?
Yes, I think so. I think I will be able to race at least. Yeah, I got an important assignment in 1 month, but we should be clear to go for next season.
Very good. Well, a huge congratulations on winning your first championship with us in APPF1 Tier 2. You've driven an amazing season, and it's been an absolute pleasure to watch you out on the circuit.
Thank you guys. Thank you to Sumo, to Ghost, and every of the crew of APPF1. They've done an amazing job. I love to race here. Everyone is great. Yeah, it's been really fun.
I'm glad
Thank you
to
a lot.
hear it. I'm glad to hear it. The pleasure is all ours, of course. We do love trying to host the best races possible and give everybody the best sort of streams it is. But that's another season done. That's 6 seasons of APPF1 Tier 2 done, and it's going to be I'm going to miss being in the comms box on a Tuesday, but I'll finally be back behind the wheel, so I suppose I'll be able to replace it with that, I guess. Ghost, is there any final thoughts as we before we wrap everything up tonight?
Well, driver of the day is the only thing, Sumo.
That's it. That's the one. Let me go back on my screen and have a look over here.
I know who I'd give it to personally, but I'll let you have a look and decide.
Oh gosh. Let's see. Well, you know, I mean, if we're going on just sort of impressive races, I guess. I mean, Cheryl Shaft did fairly well, but I think I'm on the same wavelength with you, Ghost, as giving it to our newly crowned champion. Am I wrong?
Well, I certainly wouldn't disagree. I was thinking, personally, just for the shift he put in to help Lawrence as much as possible to take the title, I would nominate LB. But I'll leave you with the final decision on that, Sumo.
Yeah, I mean, any of them could have been really great candidates. I mean, we've got some incredible drivers out there, but I think if we're going for, you know, just accolades on the track today, especially, I think LB would be the driver to give driver of the day to. So I think I'll agree with that, and we'll award LB with driver of the day, as well as
Love
an
you, boys.
unexpected win. Oh dear. Right then.
I think
Wow.
I'm done. Yeah.
Wow, it's been 6 seasons. I can't believe it. I've been here from the very first pre-season race in Monza, I think it was, so I started commentating, and it's, you know, almost 2.5 years down the line. I'm still here commentating in Tier 2. I commentate on Tier 1 every now and again if I can. I'm venturing out into the scary world of other motorsports, of GT3 and all that, but I think there'll never be a home more comfortable than where I started, of course, Tier 2, and it's been an absolute honour to bring you 6 seasons of great racing, and I cannot wait to bring another season of racing to you next time, alongside, of course, Ghost, who I think I'd have gone a bit stir crazy on all those safety cars in Baku last week if it wasn't for you, mate.
Oh, it's always a pleasure getting in the commentary box and having a good race in Tier 2 by your side, Sumo. So, yeah, may there be many more to come, and I very much look forward to driving an F2 car by your side as well for the next 3 weeks.
Yeah, that's going to be exciting. So it's going to be 3 weeks of F2 racing, so I'm going to be giving my voice a bit of a rest on a Tuesday, but you can catch me on JP Broadcasting for some great action. I believe I'm commentating on a Wednesday evening for some Porsche Cup on ACC. I'll be doing the final 3 rounds of that championship, so do feel free to hop along board as well. But yeah, we're not going to be back with Tier 1 now for another 3 weeks. What was the date again? It was April, I want to say it was April 8th or 12th or something like that.
Well, we'll be back for Tier 2 on the 20th.
20th, there we go.
But yeah, the next 3 weeks we'll be doing some F2 racing. Me and you will be on track, as well as the likes of Jacko and other Tier 1 names, and some Tier 2 names as well. I believe JB, Muhiti are some of the names, and Lawrence, some of the names that are competing in F2. So it's all going to be good fun. All of APP racing together in some F2 cars and having a good time. So yeah, that'll be good fun. But yeah, 3 weeks, and then we'll be back at it until the new game.
1, 2, 3. I mean, it can't be the 20th because the 20th is a Thursday, so it's either the 11th or the 18th
Okay.
of April. But either way, we will be back after the Tier 2 champion, the F2 championship for the 7th season of APPF1 Tier 2, and I cannot wait at all. And if it's going to be anything like the previous seasons, we're going to be in for quite the barnstormer. Can Darth Nihilus defend his newly crowned title? Can LB go for number 2? Can Lawrence finally get glory in the APPF1 Tier 2 season? Who knows? But what we do know for now is that we are ending the stream, and it's been a pleasure to have you all on board as always. I hope you have enjoyed all of the action as it has come. Please do leave a like on the stream, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. All of the support really does go a long way. Go over to Ghost's channel as well and check out the onboards for all of the race as well. There's some extra footage there that you might not have seen on there. I mean, it's all the same stuff, but it's all onboard cameras. But I'm going to stop rambling on now and say for the final time this season, I have been Sumo.
I have been Ghost.
And we will see you in 3 weeks' time for Season 7 of the APPF1 Tier 2 Championship. But for now, it is good night.